Pluto. No, it's not yours. Maybe? Good boy.
Pluto. Oh, now he's gonna try and jump up and get it.
저도 못해.
How to trap a tiger. Hi, I'm Dobby, but you can call me Dabz. So today I'm reviewing When You Trap a Tiger by Tae Keller. So When You Trap a Tiger is about a girl named Lily who is part Korean. One day, her mom suddenly announces that her family is going to be moving to California to live with her grandmother. This is because her grandma is sick, and this way she's able to take care of her and spend more time with her. Lily's grandmother, or 할머니 as they say in this book, because 할머니 is the Korean way to say grandma, always tells Lily stories, and a lot of these stories involve tigers. And one day, one of the tigers from her 할머니 stories comes to life and tells Lily that her 할머니 stole something from the tiger. The tiger says that in exchange for her giving back what her 할머니 stole, she would grant her 할머니 good health. So, keep watching if you want to find out more about this book about Korean culture and family.
Bonk, bonk.
That was good. That was smooth. So I really enjoyed reading this book especially because of the Korean heritage, Korean folk tales, and like culture that's in the book. And I really like reading books about like folk tales or like stories from different cultures. I just think that they're really interesting because I love reading stories. Like I love stories, but I also like learning about different cultures. So those combined, like stories from other like cultures, is very cool to me. And in this book, there was some that I already knew. Since I'm Korean, like there was some parts of it that I like knew kind of about, but a lot of it was new to me, and I was able to kind of learn about my own culture by reading this book.
Bonk.
Speaking of the Korean aspect of this book, I feel like there were a lot of Korean words that were slipped in here. There was 할머니 was used over and over in the book. There were some Korean foods. I think there was like bulgogi at some point in the book. There was also 애기 and 언니, which 애기 is a way of saying baby, and 언니 is a way that like girls will call their older sister. I think 언니 was spelt like a little bit differently. I think they were trying to say 언니야. So because I am Korean, I was able to like read this book a little bit like more smoother, because people that don't know like that aren't Korean or don't know the Korean language might not know like what bulgogi is, for example. And because I'm also Korean, I was also able to relate to parts of the book where it talks about struggles or it talks about the characters, like the characteristic of her being Korean. I was able to relate to Lily and Sam and the Korean characters. So this is also talking about the Korean part of this book. So the author of this book is Tae Keller, and her mom is also an author. But her grandmother used to also tell her stories, and she talks about, I don't know where she says this, but she says that this book is like kind of based on the stories that her 할머니 would tell her and her grandmother herself. And I think that's really cool. Also, I think it's really interesting how Tae Keller she's very intact with her Korean culture, I think. And even while living in America, she still stays true to her culture, and she's even able to write a book about it. And I would imagine that parts of Lily, or parts of being an Asian American, the way that she described it and wrote it in this book is based on her experiences. So I actually really liked the writing that was in this book. I feel like it was really smooth and easy to read. And I think the language that the author used was very easy to understand, but it also gave a lot of detail, and the way that she wrote was really pretty. I don't know if that's the right word to use, but it was I don't want to say poetic, because I said that in my last book review. And a lot of the phrases and expressions that the author used, they made you think, and they made you look back and be wow, this expression was really good. And my mom wants me to read this specific part in the book. because it's pretty. She's turned slightly away from me, body curled around a half-full mug of coffee. The steam dances and floats up to kiss her face, but she doesn't notice. She focuses on the small details. And I think that like usually when books do this where there's like a lot of description of the scenes, I feel like sometimes it can get like over-worded or it can get complicated because the words they use are like super long and like complicated. But with this book, the author did a really good job of like making it seem really like pretty and descriptive, but also still making it like easy to read, especially for like younger kids and stuff, so like they can actually understand it. So when I was looking through the Goodreads reviews of this book, the majority of the people that didn't really like the book, the reason that they didn't really like it was because of the magical realism. That's what you call the genre of this book. And magical realism is basically, it's realistic fiction, except there's like one part in it, which is like a major part of the story. Maybe it's a minor part of the story, but there's one part in the story that is like magic or like fantasy. And the people that didn't like the book, they didn't like that aspect of it, probably because it was too like childish, I guess, or it didn't work for them. And if that's like kind of the make or break of this book, like it really depends. It's a major factor in if you're going to like it or not, because if you're okay with magical realism, which I was totally fine with it, even though like I did find it a little bit childish, but like I ended up really enjoying the book anyways. But if this is something that you might not entirely like enjoy because it's a middle school girl that believes in magic or that believes in like seeing this tiger that only she can see. If that's not your thing, or like you think it's too childish, it'll be annoying throughout the book, then maybe this isn't the book for you. But if you think that you're going to be fine with it, then go read it. So another thing that I liked about this book was the pacing. I felt like it wasn't too slow or too fast. And I feel like the pacing plus the fact that this book was like really easy language and the plot of it just made me want to keep reading it, and it made me like speed through the book without really having to think about like what was happening at every part of the book. Like I could just read through it without being too complicated. It didn't make me like think too much, you know? I don't know why I did that face. So this book won the Newbery medal, and I think that it was definitely deserving of it. I think when I first started reading the book, throughout like the beginning and middle of the book, I was kind of like mad, like it's a really good book, but does it really deserve the Newbery like medal? But then as I like finished off the book and I really thought about like what happened and like the writing, and I thought about everything, I was like, yes, this definitely deserves it. Especially because it's like a good book for anyone, which I'm going to talk about next. Oh, good segue. Good transition. So I believe that this book would be like truly the best for people a little bit younger than me. I'd say like 4th to 6th, 7th grade, because I think that they would learn the most but also be able to enjoy the book the most, probably because like they can relate to the character kind of on an age level. But I do think that any age can enjoy this book, especially because the language that the author uses is good for younger kids because they're able to understand it, but also older kids can also enjoy it. And the topic and plot of this book is good for any type of age range, unless you think it's too childish, but like for the most part, it's good for any age range. So with the one factor that if you don't like magic realism, anyone can enjoy this book, I do think. And I think this is definitely a book worth trying out. So in the end, overall, I gave it 4.5 out of 5 stars. So that would be the end of my book review. If you like this video, then like this video and subscribe for more content like this. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and happy reading! No, stay here. Ready? Head.
Sit. Quietly. Wait, Pluto, wait. 맛있는 거 가져올게. Wait.
Wait. 아이고. This tiger claims to be. No. Should I do it again? Or okay, one last take. Okay. So. 자기야. So I actually really like the writing in this book. Oh my god. Oh. So this book also won the Nobel Prize.
What?
The Nobel Prize. Nobel Prize. Slow, but also not too fast. And sorry. La 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 la.